Hello there and welcome back to another edition of the Hotline Classic Remastered, and this time we take a look at the 1997 Aston Martin DB7 Coupe. Our final Aston Martin to take on the course and one of two DB7s in the base game. There is of course this one and the drop top Volante, and my vote always goes to the Coupe because it has to, because the Coupe is one of, if not the best looking car of all time. The Volante is nice, but the Coupe is even nicer. That being said, I speak, when I'm talking about those cars, standard. This particular Coupe with the race mod is not. That wing is a sin. Whoever decided that this car should have that wing, I hope they're in a worse place than I am, because I'm sorry, that is unacceptable. The rest of the race mod's okay. I could do without the stickers, but I kind of like the number placards, and the lipstick around the front grille looks a little bit sloppy, but I get why it's there. And of course, it harkens back to Aston Martins of old, the Le Mans winners, if you will, when Aston Martin used to be a good company that produced cars that have heritage and prestige and not rebadged AMGs as they do now. But they'll go bankrupt soon, because they always go bankrupt, because that's Aston Martin's gimmick, is just going bankrupt. Now, with this race mod, as much as it is heresy to look at this car as it sits, I am hoping it is slightly quicker than the Volante, although I'm not quite sure how much quicker. British sort of coupes around this course have been interesting. The XKR was very quick, from what I remember. However, the Aston Martin V8 Vantage was terribly slow, and the Volante was mediocre. So I'm hoping this is better, but I feel like we're going to fall potentially into the mediocre camp. Front engined rear-wheel drive, 539 horsepower, 1,515 kilos. This is still a big girl, even with all that weight reduction and the racing modification. Anyways, to find out how the DB7 gets along, it is going to have 6 laps of the Motorsports line, but track in order to set the best time it possibly can. Our current leader is the Suzuki Scudo Pikes Peak version, that car set a time of a 25.696, the Aston Martin DB7 Coupe unlikely to beat that. In terms of where this is going to go, the Volante set a time of 31.207, which again, fairly mediocre. I'm hoping this is going to be quicker than that. I'm gonna suggest the typical sort of 0.2 buffer that I put on what a race mod is usually worth with the weight reduction and stuff. Obviously not quite a fair comparison because the Volante was heavier even like from standard than this. I think it weighed like an extra 100 kilos or so. But then again, weight on a car like this is the least of its worries. And it's more getting that power to the road, which straight away appears to be a bit of a challenge. This does have longer gear ratios, I should point out, thanks to the GT2 Plus mod, because this car in the base game has a really pathetic top speed for some reason. So GT2 Plus has sort of gone in there, extended the ratios out a little bit, so the final drive is more akin to what it was in reality, which probably is helping this car in terms of getting the power down, but because it's a turbo car, still having a couple of issues there. 31.063, definitely a little bit more time in this, it does have to be said. It's, yeah, just a little bit sort of, I don't know, it's got that sort of typical rear-wheel drive turbo coupe feel of I don't really know what's going to happen when I go into this corner, whether it's going to fishtail wildly or whether it's going to let me get away with it, whether it's going to do a bit of wheel spin or whether it's going to, you know, let me get away scot-free on the power. Never quite sure in the DB7 Coupe, which is not ideal for setting a lap time around here. But it is what we've got to deal with. Fortunately, second gear, as I said, very long, so we can ride out that wave of power from the car, but yeah, still far from ideal. 30.832, that's not bad. That's about the same time as a standard Citroen Saxo around this course. Not standard, of course, but, you know, non-race mod Citroen Saxo. Yeah. It's one of those cars where there's definitely time in it, but you'd have to pull off, like, the most miracle of race laps in your life to pull it out of there. Yeah, that was an experience. Not a particularly great one, it has to be said. Quicker than I expected. Definitely. Does go with tie with something, which I hate, because as you know, from watching this series, I hate ties more than anything else in the entire world. But, yeah, better than I expected. Still not particularly great, it has to be said. Again, I feel this is going to tell me there's some time in it. A little bit. So Sector 1 was really quick, but again, the sort of, as I've discussed before, the checkpoint in Sector 1 can be a little bit strange with where it's sat. I don't think there's point 1 in that as it suggests. I think if you got this car all gathered up, it may be a 30.75s on the cards, but yeah, I mean, that would put it right around sort of Corvette Gran Sport, so it's hardly like an amazing time, even if it did manage to get that far up the leaderboard, but yeah. Anyways, a 30.832 will place this into 316th place. Goes in between the Mitsubishi FTO GR, which it ties with, and the Mitsubishi Galant VRG. So it's the same speed as a base FTO and base Galant, with a turbocharger admittedly, but still. Yeah, slightly quicker than a Citroen Saxo, Dodge Copperhead, Primera Wagon, Roof CR4. None of these names are particularly compelling. I mean, it's quicker than a Nissan 200 SX, Mercury Cougar, BMW 320 Ci. Quicker than a 97 NSX. I mean, again, there's not really there's not really a lot of upside to where this has gone. I mean, it's not far off an NSX Type S as well, and a naturally aspirated Supra is quicker than this, which has 150 less horsepower than this, and Supras don't drive very nice, so yeah, it's the definition of looks better than it is. But then again, that was sort of the story of the DB7 this entire time anyway, so yeah. Anyways, that's it for this episode. Thank you all very much for watching. Join me next time when I'll be driving something completely different. Until then, farewell.